Picture this. A 19-year-old kid standing in the middle of a bustling airport terminal, his heart racing. Not from fear, but from pure unfiltered excitement. That's Malik Carter. He's not your average teenager scrolling through TikTok or chasing likes on Instagram. No, Malik's different. His world spins around jet engines, flight paths, and the roar of takeoff. You know that sound a plane makes when it slices through the sky? Most people hear noise. Malik hears music. He can name every commercial aircraft just by the hum of its engines, Boeing 737, Airbus A320, you name it. It's like he's got aviation wired into his DNA. Now let's rewind a bit. Growing up, Malik wasn't the kid with superhero posters plastered across his bedroom walls. No. His walls were a gallery of blueprints, technical diagrams of cockpits, wings, and turbines. Where other teens might have stashed video game controllers, Malik had a workbench littered with scraps of wood and glue, crafting scale models of planes so precise they could have fooled an engineer. At 15, he took first place in a national science fair with a hand-built replica of a 747, complete with working landing gear. The judges didn't just give him a trophy, they told him he had a future in the sky. And Malik? He believed them. Fast forward to today, March 13, 2025. Malik standing at the edge of something big. He's not just dreaming anymore, he's stepping into it. After pouring his heart into an essay that outshone thousands of other applicants, he's won a golden ticket. A spot in the Apex Aviator Day at Apex Airlines. This isn't some casual field trip. It's a full access pass to the beating heart of an airport, control towers, maintenance hangars, and if he's lucky, a chance to sit in a real cockpit. For Malik, this isn't just a day. It's the first page of his destiny. The moment he's been building toward since he was old enough to look up and wonder what it'd feel like to fly. He's 19 now, a college freshman with a fire in his chest that won't quit. Tall, lean, with eyes that sparkle when he talks about thrust ratios or emergency protocols. Malik's the kind of guy who doesn't just want to fly planes, he wants to master them. His mom, a single parent who's always been his rock, used to tease him. Boy, you've got wings in your soul. She wasn't wrong. Every late night spent hunched over flight simulators, every science project that left sawdust on the kitchen table. It's all led him here. Apex Airlines isn't just a company to him. It's the launchpad to a future where he's not just Malik Carter, the kid from the block, but Captain Carter, the man in the cockpit. But here's the kicker, Malik's black. In a world where the flight deck's still too often a sea of white faces, he knows the odds aren't always in his favor. He's heard the stories his mom's late night talks about, the way things are, the extra hurdles he might face. Yet Malik doesn't flinch. He's got grit, brains, and a dream so big it could lift a jumbo jet off the ground. Today's supposed to be his day, the one where he proves he belongs. Little does he know, in just a few minutes, that dream's about to be tested, not by turbulence or a tricky landing, but by something far uglier, far more human. Buckle up, because Malik Carter's story is about to take off in ways no one, least of all him, could have seen coming. Imagine the scene. Malik Carter, our 19-year-old aviation prodigy, is perched on the edge of a cushioned chair in the Apex Airlines pilot's lounge at Terminal D. The air hums with the faint buzz of jet engines outside, but inside, it's just him and the glow of a TV screen. A documentary about the history of flight flickers across it. Black and white footage of the Wright brothers giving way to sleek modern jets. Malik's eyes are glued to every frame, soaking it in like it's gospel. His visitor badge swings gently from his neck, bold letters screaming Malik Carter, Apex Aviator Day. His tour guide, Jasmine Lee, had dropped him off here with a smile. Wait here, Malik. I've got a quick emergency call, 20 minutes tops. Enjoy the show. He'd nodded, thrilled just to breathe the same air as real pilots. This was his moment, his slice of the sky. Or so he thought. Then the door swings open, and in strides Captain Vanessa Steele. Picture her. 25 years of flying etched into every crisp line of her navy blue uniform, silver captain's bars gleaming on her shoulders like badges of conquest. She's the kind of woman who commands a room without saying a word, tall, sharp-jawed, with eyes that could cut steel. But the second those eyes land on Malik, something shifts. Her lips tighten into a thin, hard line. A lone black kid in a sea of empty chairs? To her, he doesn't belong. Not here, not in her sacred pilot's lounge. She doesn't ask questions. She doesn't check his badge. She just decides. Before Malik can even register her presence, Steele's boots thunder across the polished floor. She's on him in seconds, her hand shooting out like a striking snake. Snap! She rips the lanyard from his neck with such force the plastic clip shatters, and the badge, his pride, his proof, clatters to the ground. What the hell are you doing here? She barks, her voice a whip crack that slices through the quiet. It's not a question, it's an accusation. Malik freezes, his heart slamming against his ribs. Ma'am. I'm part of the Apex Aviator Day, he stammers, bending to grab his badge. My guide, Jasmine Lee, told me to wait here. This is my ID, look. But Vanessa Steele doesn't look. She doesn't care. She snatches the badge from his trembling fingers before he can hold it up, flinging it onto a nearby table like it's trash. Fake? She snaps, her tone dripping with venom. Or stolen. No way a kid like you gets in here legit. That you hangs in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning, his skin, his youth, his very existence in her space. Malik's stomach twists. He's not just confused, he's scared now. I swear, ma'am, I'm supposed to be here. He tries again, voice cracking. Call Jasmine Lee from HR. She'll tell you. Steele's not listening. She's already made up her mind and she's moving fast. Her hand flies to the radio clipped to her belt, thumb jamming the button with a fury that makes Malik flinch. Security. Pilot's lounge. Terminal D now. She bellows into it. I've got an intruder with forged credentials. Possible threat. Get here quick. The words hit Malik like a punch to the gut. Threat? He's just a college kid watching a documentary about planes. How does that make him a criminal? His mind races, replaying Jasmine's warm smile. The official letter from Apex congratulating him on winning the program. This can't be happening. Not to him. Not today. But it is happening. Steele turns, her shadow looming over him. And for the first time, Malik feels small, smaller than he's ever felt in his 19 years. She doesn't see a dreamer with wings in his soul. She sees a trespasser, a liar, maybe worse. You think you can waltz into a restricted area and play innocent? She sneers, stepping closer until he can smell the starch in her uniform. I've seen your type before, sneaking around. Looking for trouble. Who let you in? Who are you really with? Her words aren't just sharp. They're blades. Each one cutting deeper into the confidence he's spent years building. Malik's hands shake as he clutches the armrest, his dream day crumbling around him. The TV drones on in the background, oblivious, a narrator talking about how aviation broke barriers. Ironic, isn't it? Because right now a barrier's slamming down on Malik, and it's got Vanessa Steele's name written all over it. The lounge door creaks as a few pilots and staff poke their heads in, drawn by her raised voice. They don't step in. They just watch. And Malik? He's alone, pinned under her glare, with no idea that this is only the beginning of a storm about to explode. One thing's for sure, Captain Steele just lit the fuse and the fallout's going to shake the terminal to its core. The air in the pilot's lounge turns thick, suffocating like someone sucked all the oxygen out and replaced it with pure electric tension. Malik Carter's still clutching the armrest of his chair. His knuckles whitening as Captain Vanessa Steele's voice booms over the radio static. Security, I need you now. Intruder in Terminal D, possible espionage, move it. Espionage? The word slams into Malik like a freight train. He's 19, a college freshman who builds model planes and geeks out over thrust ratios, and now he's a spy? His chest tightens. Breath hitching as the absurdity twists into something darker, something terrifying. Before he can blink, the lounge door bangs open, and two security guards storm in. Their boots pounding the floor like war drums. They're big, broad-shouldered, with faces carved from stone and hands already twitching toward their belts. One of them zeroes in on Malik, barking. You! Up! Hands where I can see 'em. Malik stumbles to his feet, legs shaky, palms raised in surrender. I am not doing anything wrong, he pleads, but his voice is a fragile threat. Barely cutting through the chaos. The second guard doesn't waste time, he snatches Malik's backpack from the floor, ripping it open with a violence that sends pencils and a dog-eared flight manual spilling out. What's this? The guard snaps, holding up a tiny wooden plane Malik had carved himself. Some kind of device? It's just a model. Malik cries, his throat raw. I made it, it's not a weapon. But the guard's not listening. He tosses the plane aside, digging deeper. While Steele steps forward, her eyes glinting with triumph. See that? she says to the growing crowd of pilots and staff now clogging the doorway. He's got suspicious items lurking in a restricted zone. I told you this kid's trouble. Could be planting something, cameras, bugs, hell, even a bomb. A bomb? The room gasps, a ripple of shock spreading like wildfire. Malik's head spins. He was watching a documentary about the Wright brothers 10 minutes ago. How did this turn into a terrorist plot? The first guard grabs Malik's arm, yanking him toward the corner of the lounge. His grip's iron, bruising, and Malik winces as he's shoved against the wall. Name. Purpose. Talk. The guard demands, notepad out. Pen poised like a loaded gun. Malik Carter. He chokes out, tears stinging his eyes. I'm with Apex Aviator Day. Jasmine Lee from HR brought me here. Please just call her. But Steele cuts in, her voice a blade. He's lying. I caught him sneaking around, scoping the place out. That badge? Forged. Probably stole it to get past the checkpoint. She holds up his visitor badge like it's Exhibit A in a murder trial, smirking as whispers ripple through the onlookers, some nodding, some frowning, none stepping in to help. Malik's world tilts. The crowd's eyes burn into him, judging, accusing, stripping away every ounce of pride he'd carried into this day. He's not Malik Carter, the kid who aced science fairs anymore. To them, he's a criminal, a threat. His breath comes in shallow gasps now, panic clawing at his chest. He sees flashes, news stories his mom made him watch. Late night talks about how to act if cops ever stopped him, tales of black teens just like him, innocent but caught in the wrong place, wrong skin. Is this it? Is this how it happens? Arrested, or worse, for sitting in a lounge dreaming of wings? Steele's not done. She strides to the center of the room, playing to her audience like a prosecutor in a packed courtroom. This is why we can't slack on security, she declares, jabbing a finger toward Malik. Post 9/11 we don't take chances. He could be gathering intel, flight schedules, cockpit access points. Who knows who he's working with? The words twist reality into a nightmare. Intel? Malik's biggest crime was geeking out over a documentary narrator explaining jet propulsion. Now he's a mastermind? Sweat beads on his forehead, his knees buckling under the weight of it all. I just want my mom, he whispers, barely audible, but it's enough. With trembling hands, he fumbles for his phone, nearly dropping it as the guards loom closer. Make it quick, the second guard grunts, his glare unrelenting. Malik dials, voice shaking but steadier than he feels. Mom, it's me. Terminal D. Pilot's lounge. They think I'm a terrorist. Please come. He hangs up, eyes wide, wet with unshed tears, praying she's close. The guards exchange a glance, hesitation flickers. But Steele's glare snuffs it out. Don't let him fool you, she snaps. That call's probably a signal to his crew. The lounge feels like a cage now, walls closing in. Every tick of the clock a taunt. Malik's dream, his sky, slips further away with every accusing stare, every muttered suspicion. His wooden plane lies broken on the floor, a shattered symbol of everything he's fought for. He's not just scared, he's terrified. Will they cuff him? Drag him off? Will this stain his record, kill his college apps? Bury his pilot's wings before he even earns them? All he did was dare to dream in the wrong room at the wrong time in the wrong skin. And as Steele smirks and the guards hover, one thought screams louder than the rest. If Mom doesn't get here soon, I might not get out of this. The pilot's lounge is a pressure cooker now, the air crackling with tension as Malik Carter stands pinned against the wall, his dream day spiraling into a nightmare. Captain Vanessa Steele's voice still echoes, smug and commanding, rallying her audience of gawking pilots and staff. This is what happens when we let our guard down. The security guards loom over Malik, one clutching his confiscated badge, the other barking orders into a radio. We're prepping to process him. Possible threat confirmed. Malik's phone call to his mom hangs in the silence like a lifeline, but time's ticking. 5 minutes, they said. 5 minutes until they drag him away. His eyes dart to the clock. 2 minutes left. And his heart's pounding so loud he's sure they can hear it. Then something shifts. Subtle at first, like the hum of a jet engine before you feel its roar. Heads turn toward the lounge's glass doors. Whispers ripple through the crowd. The guards freeze mid-sentence, their radios crackling to life with a clipped, urgent voice. VIP incoming, Terminal D, clear the path. VIP? Here? Now? Malik blinks, confusion cutting through his fear, but Steele doesn't notice. She's too busy preening, hands on hips, oblivious to the storm brewing just beyond her reach. The doors burst open and the room falls dead silent. In strides Lena Carter, Malik's mother, and oh, she's no ordinary mom. She's a force of nature. A hurricane in a tailored black suit that fits her like armor. Her heels strike the floor with the precision of a metronome, click, 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 each step a declaration of power. A gleaming Apex Airline CEO pin shines on her lapel, flanked by a row of medals from her days as a military pilot. Behind her, a squad of private security in sleek black vests parts the crowd like the Red Sea, their earpieces buzzing with quiet commands. Four executives trail in her wake, tablets in hand. Faces tight with purpose. This isn't just a rescue, it's a reckoning. Malik's breath catches. His slumped shoulders lift, his tear-streaked face lighting up with a flicker of hope. Mom, he whispers. And that one word carries everything: fear, relief, trust. Lena's eyes find him instantly, locking on with a fierceness that could melt steel. She crosses the room in seconds, ignoring everyone else, and pulls him into an embrace so tight it's like she's shielding him from the world. For a moment, she's not the CEO of Apex Airlines. Not the woman who flew fighter jets in combat zones. She's just a mother, holding her son, whispering something soft that makes his trembling stop. The crowd watches transfixed as this titan of industry cradles her boy. Then she turns and the air shifts again, warmth vanishes, replaced by a cold, surgical fury. Lena Carter steps forward, one arm still around Malik, and fixes her gaze on Vanessa Steele. The captain's still mid-lecture, oblivious, until she catches the sudden hush. She spins around, and the color drains from her face so fast it's like someone flipped a switch. Her mouth opens, closes, opens again, no sound. She knows that face. Everyone does. Lena Carter, ex-fighter pilot. Apex's majority owner, a Forbes list legend who turned a struggling airline into an empire. And right now she's staring Steele down like a predator sizing up prey. Captain Steele, Lena says, her voice low, steady, cutting through the silence like a blade. You just called my son a terrorist. You humiliated a student with legitimate clearance, tore his badge off his neck, and turned a lounge into a crime scene, all because you didn't like the look of him. Is that right? It's not a question, it's a guillotine, and Steele feels the blade hovering. She stammers, MS. Carter, I didn't know he was your son. I was following protocol, but Lena cuts her off, sharp as a whip. Protocol? You mean inventing threats without evidence? Terrorizing a 19-year-old who was invited here. Steele's knees buckle slightly, her bravado crumbling. The crowd shifts uncomfortably, pilots, staff, even the guards, suddenly aware they're witnessing something seismic. Lena doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. Her authority fills the room like gravity, pulling every eye, every breath into her orbit. I got Malik's call 10 minutes ago, she continues, her tone icy with precision. And that time I've reviewed security footage, my son sitting quietly watching TV. I've confirmed with HR, Jasmine Lee authorized him to be here. That badge you called fake? It's real, issued by my company. She pauses, letting the weight sink in. So tell me, Captain, what part of your protocol justifies this? Malik stands taller now, his mother's arm a steel beam propping him up. The guards step back, hands dropping from their radios, faces paling as they realize they've picked the wrong side. Steele's eyes dart around, searching for an escape, but there's none. Lena Carter's here. And she's not just saving her son, she's dismantling an injustice in real time. The lounge, once Steele's stage, is now Lena's courtroom, and the verdict's coming fast. You can feel it. The power's flipped, the tide's turned, and Vanessa Steele's about to drown in the wreckage of her own making. The pilot's lounge is a battlefield now, but the weapons aren't guns or fists, they're words, evidence, and the unyielding force of Lena Carter's will. Captain Vanessa Steele stands frozen in the center, her once imposing figure shrinking under the weight of every eye in the room. The crowd, pilots, staff, security, holds its breath, caught in the gravity of the moment. Malik Carter clings to his mother's side, his tear-streaked face hardening into something new. Not just relief, but resolve. Lena's arm around him is a lifeline, but her gaze is a laser, locked on Steele, and it's about to burn everything the captain's built to the ground. You've had your say, Lena begins. Her voice a quiet thunder that rolls through the silence. Now it's mine. She steps forward, releasing Malik but keeping him close, her presence towering without effort. Steele flinches, her lips parting to protest, but Lena's hand rises, a single, sharp gesture that silences her like a guillotine dropping. I've seen the footage, Lena says, each word deliberate, cutting. My son's sitting there, minding his business, watching a documentary you didn't even bother to notice. I've spoken to Jasmine Lee. Malik's clearance was approved weeks ago. That badge you ripped off his neck? It's as real as the wings on your uniform. So explain it to me, Captain. Explain why you turned a student into a terrorist in your head. Steele's face is a mask of ash now, her bravado evaporating. Miss Carter, I thought he was a threat, she stammers, her voice climbing higher, desperate. I was protecting the airline. Following post 9/11 protocol, Lena's eyes narrow and Steele's excuse withers mid-sentence. Protecting the airline? Lena repeats, her tone dripping with disdain. By terrorizing a 19-year-old with a visitor pass? By inventing a crime where there was none? You didn't protect anything you attacked. And you didn't even check. One call, one question. And you'd have known the truth. But you didn't want the truth, did you? The room shifts, a murmur rippling through the crowd as the weight of Lena's words sinks in. One of her executives steps forward, tablet glowing in his hand. Ma'am, he says, voice crisp. Security footage shows Mr. Carter seated for 17 minutes straight. No movement, no suspicious activity. HR confirms his Apex Aviator Day status. Top applicant, vetted and approved. Another executive chimes in, we've pulled Captain Steele's file. This isn't her first incident, 3 prior complaints. All involving young people of color she deemed out of place. No action taken until now. The evidence lands like bombshells, each one blasting holes in Steele's crumbling defenses. Steele's eyes widen, darting to the crowd for support, but the faces she meets are cold. Some shocked, some disgusted, none sympathetic. She tries again, voice trembling. Miss Carter. Please, my 25 years of service. Lena cuts her off, her calm morphing into Steele. 25 years should have taught you better than to judge a book by its cover, or a kid by his skin. But it didn't. And that's on you. She pauses, letting the silence stretch, heavy with finality. As CEO of Apex Airlines, and as a mother who just watched her son beg for help because of you, I'm done with excuses. Vanessa Steele, you're fired. Effective immediately. No severance, no pension, no second chances. Your wings are clipped. The pronouncement hits like a thunderclap. Steele staggers back, her breath hitching as if the floors just dropped out from under her. The crowd gasps, some in shock, some in quiet approval, but no one dares speak. Lena turns to an executive, escort her to HR. Revoke her credentials, clear her locker, and get her off my property. Now! The man nods, stepping forward, and Steele's shoulders slump in defeat. She opens her mouth, maybe to beg, maybe to argue, but one look at Lena's unrelenting stare kills the words in her throat. She's led away, a fallen titan, her boots dragging where they once thundered. Her career a smoking ruin left in Lena's wake. Malik watches, his chest rising and falling steadier now. The guards who pinned him step back, muttering apologies under their breath. Their bravado gone. The crowd disperses slightly, whispers buzzing, did you see that? She had it coming. But Lena's not done. She turns to Malik, her CEO mask softening into something tender. You okay, baby? She asks, voice low, just for him. He nods, swallowing hard. Yeah, Mom. Thanks to you. His eyes flicker to Steele's retreating figure, then back to his mother. A new strength blooming behind the fear. The lounge feels different now, lighter, cleaner, like a storm's passed and left the sky clear. Steele's gone. Her reign of prejudice toppled in minutes by a woman who wields power with precision and love with ferocity. But this isn't the end. It's a turning point. Lena Carter didn't just save her son. She drew a line in the sand. And as the terminal hums back to life, you can bet every soul in that room knows. Mess with Malik, mess with Lena, and you'll lose everything. The dust hasn't even settled in the pilot's lounge, but the air feels different now, like a weight's been lifted, replaced by something softer, something hopeful. Vanessa Steele's gone. Her exit a quiet echo of defeat, and the crowd's murmur fades into the hum of the terminal beyond. Malik Carter stands beside his mother, Lena, his shoulders squared for the first time in what feels like forever. The fear's still there, flickering in his eyes, but it's losing ground to a spark of something new, pride, maybe, or the faint glow of belief reignited. He's not alone anymore, and that changes everything. Lena's still in CEO mode. her sharp gaze sweeping the room as her executives huddle nearby. Tablets buzzing with updates. She's already shifting gears, turning this mess into a mission, whispering to one of them about systemic changes and new initiatives. But before she can dive deeper, a figure steps through the dispersing crowd, cutting a path straight toward Malik. It's Captain Nia Brooks, tall, poised, her navy uniform crisp with 4 gold stripes gleaming on her shoulders. She's Apex's ace, a black woman who's flown routes from New York to Nairobi and earned every inch of her rank the hard way. Her dark eyes meet Malik's and there's a warmth there. A knowing that doesn't need words. "Miss Carter," Nia says, nodding respectfully to Lena, her voice smooth as a steady tailwind. "I'll take your Chicago route tonight, Captain Steele's old slot. But I'm not here for that." She turns to Malik, and her stern pilot's mask melts into a smile that feels like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Malik Carter, right? I heard what happened. And I've got an offer for you." Malik blinks, caught off guard, his voice barely a whisper. "Ma'am?" Nia's grin widens. "My 737's parked at gate 12, wheels up in an hour. How'd you like a front row seat in the cockpit? Not some simulator, this is the real deal. I'll walk you through every switch, every gauge. A kid who knows thrust ratios like you deserves to see it live." The room seems to hold its breath as Malik processes her words. His jaw drops, then snaps shut. A grin tugging at his lips despite the tear tracks still drying on his cheeks. "Really?" he asks, voice cracking with disbelief. "Even after all this?" Nia's laugh is low, rich. Like she's heard that question too many times herself. "Especially after all this," she says firmly. "The flight deck's where you belong, Malik. Don't let anyone tell you different." She glances at Lena, who gives a small, approving nod, her eyes softening with gratitude. "Go ahead," Lena says, squeezing Malik's shoulder. "I'll catch up at the gate. Captain Brooks will take good care of you." Malik hesitates for half a second, then steps forward, his posture straighter, his stride surer. Nia claps him on the back as they head out, already tossing him a question. "So, what's your take on the 737's fuel efficiency versus the A320? Malik's answer comes fast, eager. "The 737's got better range with the new MAX engines. But the A320's quieter on climb out." And Nia's approving nod seals the deal. They disappear through the lounge doors, a mentor and her unexpected protege, leaving a ripple of awe in their wake. But the support doesn't stop there. As Malik's voice fades down the hall, Lena turns back to her team, her mind racing ahead. "This isn't just about today," she says, her tone fierce with purpose. "It's about tomorrow. No kid should have to prove they belong in this industry, not because of their skin, their age, nothing. We're launching Apex Wings, a program for dreamers like Malik. Mentorship, scholarships, real access. Start the paperwork tonight." Her executives nod, already typing, and you can feel it. This isn't a PR stunt. It's a revolution. Born from a mother's love and a CEO's iron will. Back at gate 12, word spreading fast. A gate agent who saw the showdown slips Malik a free coffee as he passes, murmuring, "You're gonna soar, kid." A baggage handler, overhearing the story, gives him a thumbs up from the tarmac. Even the passengers boarding Nia's flight catch wind. That's the boy from the lounge? Good for him. And their smiles follow him like a tailwind. By the time Malik steps into the cockpit, his hands brushing the controls of a real 737, the terror of an hour ago feels like a distant storm. Nia's voice guides him. "This is your trim wheel, this is your throttle," and for the first time today Malik feels it. He's not just dreaming of the sky anymore. He's touching it. The community's rallying now, not with fanfare but with quiet, steady lift, like the kind that gets a plane off the ground. Lena watches from the gate, her eyes tracking Malik through the cockpit window, and a rare smile curves her lips. She's given him more than justice today. She's given him wings, and a whole team to help him fly. This isn't the end of Malik's story. It's the moment he starts climbing, with a crew behind him that won't let him fall. A month has passed since that chaotic day in the pilot's lounge, but the echoes still linger, transformed now into something powerful, something lasting. Malik Carter stands in the same Terminal D. But he's not the scared 19-year-old clutching a chair anymore. He's taller somehow, not just in stature but in spirit. The fear that once gripped him has faded, replaced by a quiet confidence that radiates as he faces a group of wide-eyed high schoolers. They're gathered in a sleek new meeting room off the lounge, part of Apex Airline's freshly launched Apex Wings program. The walls are lined with photos, pioneers like Bessie Coleman and modern pilots like Nia Brooks. And Malik's up front, a youth ambassador in a sharp blazer, his voice steady as he speaks. Flying's not just about the plane, he tells them, his hands gesturing like he's tracing a flight path in the air. It's about systems, physics, teamwork, grit. You've all got something to bring to it, something no one else can. Don't let anyone take that from you. The kids lean in, hanging on his every word. A girl with braids raises her hand, but what if they don't think we belong? Malik pauses, his eyes flickering with the memory, the sting of Steele's glare, the weight of that broken badge. Then he smiles, small but real. They might not, he says. I've been there. But belonging isn't about what they think. It's about what you know. And I know the sky's big enough for all of us. Behind him, Captain Nia Brooks nods, her 4 stripes catching the light. She's taken on a new role, head of Apex Wings, splitting her time between flying international routes and mentoring kids like these, kids like Malik once was. He's right, she adds. Her voice warm but firm. I started where you are doubting fighting. But I'm here now and you can be too. The cockpit doesn't care about your doubts, it cares about your drive. The students scribble notes, ask about engine specs and pilot training, but it's the quieter questions about fitting in, about fear, that Malik answers with a honesty that makes them trust him. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He tells them about that day, about the terror, about how close he came to giving up. And then he tells them how he didn't. Later that evening, the terminal lights glow against a twilight sky, and Malik sits with his mom, Lena Carter, in her office overlooking the runways. It's a sanctuary up here. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing planes as they climb into the dusk, a view that's fueled both their dreams. Lena's ditched her CEO desk for a cozy chair next to Malik, a rare moment of stillness for a woman who's always 3 steps ahead. How'd it go today? She asks, though she's already heard the buzz from Nia. Malik's a natural, a born leader. He shrugs. Thoughtful. Good, I think. They asked about what happened. About Steele. Lena's gaze sharpens, but her voice stays soft. And what did you tell them? Malik looks out at a departing jet. Its lights winking against the horizon. The truth, he says. That I was scared out of my mind. That I thought my dream was dead because I dared to sit in that lounge. That for a minute. I believed her. That I didn't belong. He turns to her, eyes steady. But then you showed up, Mom. And Nia. And everyone. Now I know better. Lena reaches for his hand, her grip strong, grounding. You always belonged, Malik. She was wrong, not you. He nods, but there's a question brewing, one he's wrestled with since that day. Mom, he says, voice quieter now. What if you weren't you? What if you weren't the CEO? Would they have listened? Would I still be here? The words hang between them, raw and heavy, a truth they both know too well. Lena's jaw tightens. Not with anger but with a mother's ache. A leader's resolve. She leans forward, holding his gaze. Maybe not, she admits, unflinching. And that's why I'm fighting now. Not every kid has a mom who can walk in and shut it down. But every kid deserves to be heard, to be believed. That's what Apex Wings is for. Making sure no one else has to wait for a miracle. Malik absorbs that, his fingers tracing the edge of his blazer, a gift from Nia after his first cockpit tour. You fought for me, he says, almost to himself. Now I want to fight for them. Lena's smile is small but fierce, pride lighting her eyes. You already are, baby. And you're just getting started. She points to the wall behind them, where a framed poster gleams under the soft office lights, the Apex Wings campaign. There's Nia in her captain's stripes, Malik beside her, and a tagline in bold. Fear shouldn't be the price of your dreams. It's more than a slogan, it's a promise, one Malik's living proof of. Out the window, a plane soars upward, cutting through the dusk. And Malik watches it go. He's not that terrified kid anymore. He's a young man who's faced the worst and come out stronger, with a mother who'd moved mountains and a community that's got his back. The sky's still there, vast and waiting, and now he knows it's his to claim. Not because he's fearless, but because he's learned to fly through the fear with a purpose bigger than himself. The sun dips below the skyline at Apex Airlines Terminal D, painting the runways in hues of gold and shadow. From Lena Carter's office window, the world feels vast, planes carving paths into the endless sky, each one a testament to human daring, to dreams that refuse to stay grounded. Malik Carter stands beside his mother. His silhouette framed against that golden glow, No longer the boy who cowered in the pilot's lounge a month ago. He's something more now, a spark turned flame, a dreamer turned doer. But this story isn't just about him, or Lena, or even the fall of Vanessa Steele. It's bigger than that. It's about the cracks in the world, the fight to mend them. And the truth that rises when the dust settles. Step back and see it. A 19-year-old black kid, armed with nothing but a badge and a passion for flight. Accused of being a terrorist for sitting in the wrong room. It's absurd, laughable, until it's not. Until you realize how fast suspicion can twist into a weapon. How a single glance from someone like Steele can unravel years of hard work. That day, Malik didn't just face prejudice. He faced a mirror of a society that too often assumes guilt before innocence. That sees threat in difference. The guards who grabbed him, the crowd who watched, the system that let Steele's bias run unchecked. They're all part of it. And Malik? He could have been anyone. He is anyone, every kid who's ever been told their wings don't fit, their dreams don't belong. But here's where it turns. Lena Carter didn't just storm in to save her son, she tore down a wall. Her power, her presence, flipped the script in minutes, proving Steele wrong with cold, hard facts and a mother's fiercer love. Steele's firing wasn't just punishment, it was a signal, loud and clear. This stops here. No quiet slap on the wrist, no swept under the rug compromise. Lena made it public, made it final, because justice isn't justice if it hides. And when Nia Brooks stepped up, handing Malik the keys to a cockpit, she didn't just lift him, she lifted an idea, that the sky's not reserved for a chosen few, but for anyone brave enough to reach for it. That's the heartbeat of this tale. It's in Malik's trembling hands steadying as he touched a throttle for the first time. In Lena's voice promising a future where no kid has to pay for their dreams with fear. It's in Apex Wings, a program born from one boy's terror and one woman's resolve, now spreading roots to pull others up, kids of every color, every background, who might have thought aviation was a closed door. The gate agents, the baggage handlers. The passengers who cheered Malik on, their proof the ripples growing. This isn't a feel-good ending tied with a bow. It's a beginning, a challenge, a call to rethink who gets to fly. Look closer. And you'll see the scars. Malik still flinches sometimes when he hears a radio crackle, still wonders what might have happened if Lena weren't CEO. Lena carries it too, the ache of knowing her privilege tipped the scales, the fire to make sure it's not the only thing that does. But those scars don't define them, they fuel them. Malik's out there now, mentoring teens who look like him, sounding like him, dreaming like him, telling them the sky's theirs too. Lena's rewriting Apex from the inside. Turning a company into a movement. And Nia? She's flying high, showing the world what's possible when you refuse to let the doubters win. So here's the deeper meaning. The thread that ties it all together. This isn't just about planes. It's about power, who has it, who doesn't, and what happens when it shifts. It's about prejudice laid bare and beaten back. Not with fists but with truth and tenacity. It's about a mother's love that won't bend, a community that won't break, and a kid who learns his worth isn't up for debate. The sky's vast, boundless. Beautiful, and it doesn't care about your skin, your story, your starting line. Malik's claiming it now, one flight at a time, and he's not alone. That's the victory here, not just his but ours. Because when one dreamer rises, we all get a little closer to the stars. As the last plane of the night lifts off, its lights blinking against the dark, Malik turns to Lena with a quiet smile. "We're changing it, aren't we?" he asks. She nods, fierce and certain. "Yeah, baby. We are." And out there, beyond the horizon, the sky waits, open, endless, and finally, truly for everyone. So there you have it. Malik Carter's wild ride from lounge lizard to skybound legend. With Lena Carter dropping in like a superhero mom and Vanessa Steele learning the hard way that karma's got a first-class ticket. The terminal's quiet now, planes humming off into the night. But the story? It's still buzzing, right here, right now in 2025, because let's be real, this isn't some dusty fairy tale. It's today. It's us. You ever had a moment where someone sized you up wrong, maybe at school, at work, or I don't know, trying to order a latte without being judged for your hoodie? Yeah, Malik's been there. And if you've been there too, you know the sting. But here's the kicker, he didn't just survive it, he soared. Now, let's talk life lessons with a twist, because who doesn't love a good moral served with a smirk? Take it from Malik. When the world tries to clip your wings, don't just flap harder, find your crew. Grab your truth and fly anyway. And hey, if you've got a Lena in your corner, even better. She's the kind of backup we all secretly wish showed up with a cape and a coffee. As for Steele? Well, she's probably out there somewhere, writing a memoir titled, How to Lose a Career in 10 Minutes Flat. Spoiler alert, it's not a bestseller. The takeaway? Don't be a Steele. Check your facts. Check your biases and maybe don't accuse a kid of espionage because he's got a better playlist than you. Education's free, folks. Prejudice is the real expense. So here's my question for you. What's your sky? That dream you're chasing, that thing you'd fight for even when the Steeles of the world say nah? Drop it in the comments, I want to hear it. Was it the time you proved the doubters wrong, or maybe when you stood up for someone else getting the short end? We're all Malik sometimes, and we've all got a Lena somewhere. Maybe it's a mom, a friend, or just that stubborn voice inside saying keep going. Tell me about it. Let's swap stories and lift each other up, because that's how we change the game, one flight at a time. Oh, and before you jet off, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. We've got more tales like this coming your way, dreamers, fighters, and the occasional Steele getting schooled. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and stick around for the next takeoff. Malik's story is just the start. Where's yours going to take us? See you in the skies.